Yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and I'm just gonna say hello, everybody. Welcome to Look Into the Glass. It's another beautiful day here. Of course, we have Giselle, me, and we have it's Kusha, correct?
Yes, Kusha.
And Kusha is a human behavioral analyst, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we started out. I just let our listeners kind of follow up, catch up with us. Is Giselle asked the question if there was a particular reason why she became a behavior analyst. So let's go ahead and just kick it off from there and see where it takes us.
So I think I was going somewhere when you started asking that question. But what I initially said is I think for me it's mostly a survival mechanism in me, and I didn't even know that. I grew up with I think with the intention always very unconscious, very subconscious is that to protect yourself, like don't get hurt today, and you do as much as like you're reading your environment. You're just almost anticipating when it's gonna happen, when is the attack gonna happen. So you
Yep.
you learn now to read every single meaning, to the just the intonation or whether the which question was asked first. You read everything. What
Hmm.
statement what was said first, what's the challenging question, which one is the trick question. You learn to play that game all the time. And the the part there is that you get to learn them. But for the most part, you don't learn yourself because you're so busy. You're just so in, you just got to protect yourself. You observe them. You read it. You give meaning to it. You almost give it a pattern. You almost say that,
Yeah, I was gonna
okay,
say,
if she does
you learn the
this,
pattern. Yes, yes.
if
I'm a
she
pattern
does this, I
recognition.
know this is what's gonna happen next, right?
Hmm.
You learn that for other people, but you don't learn that about yourself.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
It
agree.
takes a while. Sometimes you're already like you're old, you're adult already before you realize, all right, I'm in a pattern too. I'm in a loop
Just
too.
turned 47 and I've only been, I've been working on trying to recognize my own patterns, but but I started later in life, but
Yeah.
addiction and all of that stuff, not wanting to take accountability and all of that. And, of course, everything had to be everybody else's fault. But that's just the way I was for a long time.
Mm,
Well, that's
yeah.
why the therapy, a lot of the therapies is starting with you, working on your traumas and your inner self and whatever you've that's been built up inside your head, such as your inner critics or your shame, all of that is what it
Mm.
starts with. And I can see how you forget about yourself and you're focused on everything else because I did it my entire life too, and I'm only 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's really, I think it's important to recognize that you're busy watching everybody else, and especially coming from like narcissists, you very much learn that you're
Yes.
watching their patterns and seeing how they're gaslighting you. And then, but you're also, as you're watching and learning their patterns, you're learning their patterns for yourself too. So then you become that narcissist yourself.
Yes. Yeah. You know almost in your head what you're gonna do next or what you can do so that they do this or they do that. You almost control it, right?
Hmm.
But you don't get to observe how you react to their provocations. Like, you almost don't see yourself. Can you see, you're managing
Yes.
it. Look at you right now, right? You don't see that.
Hmm.
Just, but all of it, especially with dealing with with people with narcissistic tendencies, whatever the label is, um, dealing with them is that, like in your head is, I don't want to get hurt today. Not today. You're just trying to keep yourself safe. That's all.
you're navigating through their emotions and their irregulations
Mhm.
and it's all about them instead of paying attention to your irregulations and where you're going and all of that.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah.
what that's what you're saying?
Yes, yes. And so like you said there, you just, you're almost dancing to their tune. You're almost dancing to their music. But
Hmm.
one of the things that I think could be a good trigger. This helped me a lot. I see it for what it was. Is when I realized that they were doing it on purpose. What you said there, Stella. That's you just don't know what's gonna upset them. You're doing things for their favor, for what they like. If they do it on purpose, though, meaning it doesn't matter what you do or you don't do, the outcome is they're not gonna like it, and they're gonna make tantrum out of it, or a scene out of it. Especially, how special event, no, it has to be their scene. No one else can be happy. They're gonna make something. So there's nothing that realizing that there's nothing we can or can't do to change the outcome. That's when you think, hold on a second, that's almost life changing. Like, well, what's all the managing is for then, right? This is going nowhere. I think that's when someone realizes that they're doing it on purpose. It's not as if it's not as if they don't understand what they're doing. They do.
Yeah. Yeah, they do understand what they're doing. They completely understand what they're doing.
They just don't care. Yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Well, and I don't think a lot of people understand the difference between an actual narcissist and then those with narcissistic tendencies. That there is a big difference between those two, because somebody who's a narcissist, they don't have what I consider they don't have, what is the word I'm looking for? The emotions. They don't have empathy. That's the word I'm looking for. They don't have empathy to understand what you're going through,
And they
or what
also
you're
do not
doing.
have. Sorry to interrupt. And also, what's very what's very specific about them. What makes them different is they don't have the capacity of insight, of self insight. There
Yes,
you go.
Yes,
that's
there
where I
you
was
go.
going.
There you
That's
go.
where I was
That's the
going.
words. That's the right
That's
words.
why they
And
can't
when
change.
you
That is
have the,
one. Yeah, that's why they can't change.
and the difference
Exactly.
between tendencies and an actual narcissist is one is, well, they're both very injured. They're both very injured individuals, but one is the difference where it affects every aspect of all of their relationships. Is
Mhm.
that's the difference is that it has a huge effect and impact on all of the relationships on a daily
Yeah.
basis. At least that's the way Dr. Ramsey explained narcissism.
So, Kusha, I was wondering also, because we've just kind of going everywhere right now. Was because you said it was kind of personal, what kind of led you into this behavioral analyst. Jesus, I can't talk today. Um, are you open to talking about that, or
Um. Well, I can for maybe I don't have to go into so much details, of course, but um I'm gonna talk about, like, it's in a general term, like, what most or some population go through in a general term. Like, say, childhood or home was unstable, like, um the consistency of parental care. There was no good. Oh, there's a baby. Look at that. I didn't realize it's
Speaking of consistency of parental care,
there. Speaking of parental care, consistency, right? emotional support, just, all those things, there's there's a lot of a lot of things psychologists say about it, how, how you develop to become one.
Mhm.
So, see, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was talking about.
No, no, you're so fit in with this. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, yeah, we do the same thing. So you were talking about how the to not be too personal, but to generalize
Yes, yes.
the type of things that you experienced in order that kind of pushed you into becoming and doing what you do as a profession.
Yes, right. And there was
Your
abuse in
catalyst.
different forms, in different forms. There are different forms of abuse. There was, lack
It's
of lack of
sorry.
like
Speaking of
genuine.
abuse, I have a very controlling dog that's yelling to get in because
Oh,
the door is closed. Oh, the gate's closed too. Come on. Apologize. Speaking of very controlling.
controlling.
Yeah, her dog.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah. So there, how where love was unconditional, things like that. If I can generalize it, the only way to put it is that my childhood wasn't, it wasn't the best, is how I'd say it. And I'd probably say I'd relate to a lot of people these days, because we all have our own definition of my childhood wasn't the best. You could say the same thing, but we have no idea what's the
What's the
severity, like what's the
skill?
level of gravity, what we mean by that, because I didn't feel your hurt, you didn't feel mine. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean we can minimize each other's meaning of it, right?
Exactly.
So that is, I think I can relate to a lot of people about that. But mine is that I am. This is what's intriguing for me about psychology, is that a lot of people go through almost the same thing. Well, not the identical thing, but we suffer through abandonment, parental abandonment, or lack of support, lack of connection. There was no repair in the relationship. But why do different personalities and psychological abnormalities come out of those identical
Out of this
experiences?
identical. Yeah. Yeah, that is a
Right?
good question.
How? Of course, they say genetics, and there's a lot of things, maybe, just the perception itself, like, two children may have been left by their parents, the other one thinks she's abandoned, and then the other one thinks, no, my mother is working so hard, she's abroad, she's doing this for us. So that alone makes a lot of difference with how those two children are going to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
The one perception, but both parents are abroad, that's identical in logistics, but the perception is the other one, oh, she doesn't care about me. And then the other one is, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this too because my mom is,
We have that in our
so,
family. We do have that. It's me and my younger brother. Because we were raised by our two separate divorced parents, but two separate parents. I was raised by mom and he was raised by
mhm,
dad. And our perceptions of our parents are very different. And that's very much a real thing.
yes,
100%.
yeah.
It's crazy how we it's like that with our heads because my mom is my best friend, but dad is his best friend, so it's very,
Mhm,
very different for us.
yeah.
I like how you mentioned that because I never thought of it that way. I always question why does he feel that way with our dad? Like I don't understand. And or why
Mhm,
is he that way towards mom? I don't that's not right. She's doing the best that she can. And here's me being mom's number one supporter.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, what was the difference, because it's hard, because it can't be just one incident. I don't think just one conversation will flip the relationship altogether. I don't believe that. it has to be, sets of, consequent patterns or multiple things happening again and again so that the belief change, because your belief doesn't cannot usually doesn't change in one instance. You got to learn it. You got to keep experiencing it, right? So sometimes you wonder what's the difference between you and and your brother and your other sibling.
Oh, well, and
Influence. Influence had a lot to do with it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, influence
Uh,
in influence in what sort?
from from other family members that had
Flying
very much
monkeys.
had yeah, they're very much like the flying monkeys. They had
Mhm.
their own personal lies that they liked to put in and embed into the brain, that they would try to do it with me but say the same thing to him. I wouldn't accept it, but he would soak it in like a
Mhm.
sponge.
Okay. I have a question. Now, this is interesting. Why do you think you did not absorb it as truth the way he did?
I very much, because I looked at him and I lived with her. I lived with her 365 days a year. Every year I grew up with her, and it was, I see everything. They're not around to know the truth. This is the one time they visited us, and was to pick us up from, from the
Did,
house.
did you live with your father?
No, I did not live with my father. My brother did.
But did your brother live with your mother?
No.
Okay. So,
He would spend all of the summer, Christmas vacations, Easter vacations, and all of that he would spend at my house. But he would also spend it also visiting because they lived in another state. He would be spending with living or seeing other parts of my family. And my family, I'll just say I don't care. My father, very narcissistic, would tell him all kinds of lies, would tell them both all kinds of lies about me. And one would believe it, the one that was around, and then, or the one that wasn't around would believe it, and the one that was around and watched me because I was in a very abusive relationship. And my dad would just say, "Oh, she's just on drugs and she's just partying her life away," and this and that, whatever other things he decided to say. I don't know, anything possibly, And he actually created. He went to the expense of creating a scenario to make it look true. That's to the
mhm.
depths that my father went with my son because he wanted to get his claws in that flying monkey. He had to have him part of it because that was part of the plan.
Okay. But for the most part, you live with your mother mostly, and then your brother live with the dad mostly. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's how like the division is like,
Hmm.
because he's with them for the most part and she's with you for the most part. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I did not feel that
Oh,
I had
so
to live.
are you like, because you're that's still your son. Like I can feel I can feel like your pain, because that is still your son, like, yeah, right. and
Oh, yeah.
and he's taken aside, and I'm not saying that's um taken the father's side, because I don't know this. I don't know, so I'm not saying which side, but just from your point, it must hurt that he's taken aside, and for the father it must hurt that she is also taken aside, your daughter,
Well,
right?
so it wasn't. It's not my ex that was the issue. It was my biological father that was the
Okay,
issue.
Grandpa.
all right,
Yeah, well, their grandfather was
okay.
the issue, not my ex. My ex,
Oh, not your
no,
ex. Okay.
yeah, no, not my first husband. There for their father was there. There was nothing. It wasn't anything like that. It was just that he wouldn't listen to me on the fact of who my father really was because that's what they do. They hide and they like to show certain faces to certain people.
How old is he?
Who? My father?
Oh yeah.
He is, let's see, I don't know, 66?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. 66, 60. I don't know. I don't talk to him, so I cut ties. I don't need that crap. I
I
don't
don't
need
remember.
somebody.
I don't remember birthdays too. That I don't remember birthdays too. Like I can't judge you for that. Like
Yeah, I think he's 66 or 67.
okay.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
But yeah, I will say that a lot of people, the growing up differently for siblings also, it comes into, for some reason, we all, one of us always end up being closer to the one parent and the other being closer to the other. It's very common. I've noticed it
Mm-hmm.
in other, in households where parents are still together and, and have a somewhat healthy household. It's just how it, I think the dynamic just goes.
Yes, I think because I think any like relationship just always there's always the leader. Like the I forgot how it's called. I think it's the relational leader or something. And this is in whatever dynamics you're in. It doesn't have to be husband and wife. It doesn't have to be boyfriend and girlfriend. It could be you and the neighbor. Just
Hmm.
any type of interaction or relationship. There's always, especially if it's actually, I take that back. It's not this is not in it's probably not absolute, but in some way any interaction is there's always that one leader who's respected more. It's unspoken almost, but you both know, you don't talk about it, you don't acknowledge it, but someone is just more superior than the other. In terms of boyfriend and girlfriend, who's more in love? Like who's dictating how fast or how slow the relationship is going to be?
Yeah.
Boss and employee. Like there's definitely like the relational leadership then husband and wife, most especially the romantic relationships, definitely. Yeah.
I had a question, but it totally lost my mind. Like that
Let's
brain
hear
fart
it.
It came out. I told you, you're not the only one. You're definitely not the only one.
it was there for a good second. Um, I know that um
I'm
I'm
here,
not
go
sure.
on.
I see. Um, I know that when you came to us, I'm looking at it right now, your message to us. Because we are not polished and um we're far from polished.
Oh yeah,
um,
too. Far from polished. Yeah.
we that's not we do not even consider that part of our lives. Um,
Yeah. Sorry, I had to drink water there.
oh,
Oh,
you're perfectly fine.
you can
Um,
do.
Oh
You,
yeah. Yeah. You have something there.
yeah.
I was
I don't. You could be you and do whatever you. If you need a drink, if we have people that hit their vapes on there, it's fine. Whatever you need to do, we're good.
so something that we're actually dealing with, and I'm seeing it with people recently, is attachment chaos. Um,
Okay.
that
This
is
that is
something.
interesting. Please explain.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people, especially, and I'm just going to call it out there because this is our podcast, in the recovery community, those who are trying to recover from addictions. Well, even traumas too, even trauma, domestic
Any
violence,
type of yeah, any type of recovery.
yeah,
Yeah,
any type of
recovery of
recovery.
any type.
Um,
Okay.
people have it's a tendency of trying to be mixed in with the chaos, whether it's drama, creating drama, talking about it, talking smack about somebody else, or just, trying to create a chaotic environment for not just themselves, but for everybody around them. And they're claiming to be in this recovery, but they're so addicted to the chemical balance of what chaos brings them that they keep coming back, they keep creating more and more problems.
Because they are addicted in the chaotic states. They are addicted to that. I can agree to that. I think I think I have somehow a similar experience. It's not exactly like that, but it somehow supports what you're saying there is that people who are in recovery, whether whatever it is, that sometimes they just create their own drama because they thrive in it.
Hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So
They're
yeah, I can
so
agree with
used
you.
to it. They're so used to it, and they've given up one addiction, and they don't realize that they have an addiction to the chaos. That is something that we have recognized, and I'm not even going to say that I'm clear of that. I'm quite sure because I'm part of today's my 2 years. So I'm part of the recovery community, and I really paying attention to the places where I'm addicted to chaos. I'm thinking
Mhm.
that I need to look at me and say, okay, well, I'm noticing this happening in other people. If that's happening to other people, then I'm probably doing the same thing, considering that I'm in recovery too. I can't
Mhm.
just sit there and say, well, I'm immune to that. That's not me, because I'm not going to recover from if I don't recover from the addiction of chaos too.
That's just not the type of
Yeah.
chaos you want. That's not the type of chaos you're craving. You're craving a different type of chaos. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where we're not recognizing there's several different types of chaos. There's the drama chaos of, high school drama. That's what I could call it. It's just high school drama.
Yeah.
And, and then you have the the chaos of going from a one abusive relationship to another abusive relationship and not
Yes.
recognizing those
Yes.
patterns.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah, that is sexy for them. That is hot. Like when they see someone, oh, this guy is so chaotic, he's gonna ruin my life. Oh God. Like, yeah, I'm wet already kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and
But
and
you're so right though, because that's and then they don't even recognize it that they don't recognize that they just changed their face.
And yes, and I I thought of myself before that it was because you see him, right? Let's say you see a guy, you know red flags everywhere, right? But you still, you know it's gonna be chaotic, but you still go to it. For me, I cannot speak for other people because we are all different. But I think one of my experiences in the past is that I typically kind of got attracted to people with, personality broken that needs to be fixed or projects, right?
Hmm.
Because that felt home to me.
Yeah.
If the guy was unpredictable, like he's inconsistent, he's got no trajectory that is certain. But that is like that's home to me. So I get that that feels, if you're annoyed, that feels love. You get it, you chase it. So I think until that's I think that's one of the things that
And
could
I
happen.
put
Like,
go ahead.
no, no, yeah, go on. I'm done.
Yeah, no, it can happen consistently through people's entire lives, like where they're continuously doing that until they wake up enough to, or and I say wake up, and that sounds kind of mean, so I don't mean it in that term. You know what I mean? So I mean it
Mm-hmm.
in the most compassionate way possible. But where when they are able to start, for me, like it's been in my strength that I've found in myself through my own recovery, is where I've been able to start to notice different patterns in different people, and that were not healthy for me, where I was
Mm-hmm.
turning blind eyes before
Yeah,
and
the
and
choices you made. Yeah.
and it's almost as though the healing that I've done just kind of opened and peeled back certain things on its own. It just kind of does it on its own, where you're just now you're faced with, oh, I see this now. Huh. Well, I didn't see this before. How am I going to deal with this? Okay.
Okay.
Let me make sure that this is what I'm dealing with, first of all. Okay. Well, yep, nope. Pattern, pattern, pattern. And then you start to go, okay. And then you start to realize, all right, well, now let's see what else I'm accepting. What else am
Okay.
I, what else am I allowing? What else am I enduring? What else am I accepting that isn't mine? That's been my own personal experience. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not putting any labels on the people because it's been with numbers of people. I'm not putting any labels on those people or on those relationships
We're
because it's
not, but
been,
how I tell you, we so want to. I so want to, but we're not. But I so
yeah,
want to put label on the people. We're just not doing it. Well, I
yeah,
so want to. The
yeah,
motherfuckers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I have noticed, I don't know where I saw this, but it said basically once you learn love one way, that's one way you only see love, and that's how you feel it. So when you're given love, say by a parent that's very narcissistic, very demeaning, very mean, and abusive, that's the kind of love that you see that as love. And so now you're going to go find a partner that's going to be that way towards you because
that's
that's
going
the
to
only kind of
provide
love
those things. Yeah.
that's going to
Mm.
provide those things. And so and then that's because then that's what you continuously find as what love is when that's not love.
You know what? Speed of love, all right. I have a of course, love is love, but as I as time passes by, like as I grew older, I'm beginning to question the existence of love, right? And I'm not bitter. Seriously, I'm not bitter. I
No, no,
like
no,
to.
no.
I
I
don't.
understand.
Yeah, but I feel like love is just whatever it is that we find that solves or provides whatever our longing is as a person. May that be a childhood wound, a psychology, a psychological what it like there's something lacking, that person is able to kind of give that to you, whether it's unhealthy or healthy, it doesn't matter. You know, just he's able to provide that longing or whatever that wound that you have. He's probably able to tend it. And if you're unlucky and it's narcissistic, he'll probably heal it and then poke it later,
And
and
then
then
poke it
and heal
later.
it and then poke it later
Exactly.
again. But I'm
Or
beginning to
take your
think that
list of
love is just
traumas and
that.
go, they take my experiences is they like to take your list of traumas and the things that you've experienced and went, bet, and up the ante.
Oh yes, that's why when I'm dating, when I meet new people, we meet new men dating, and they ask me, what is it that you want to do in your life ultimately? My head is why, so you can use it against me? Like, like you just because once you've experienced like this, I believe that the internet, pop culture, is like hyping, and it's not. I don't think it's anyone's fault anyway. It's just that most of us, all of us, want to educate ourselves, want to learn about the dynamics and the relationships that we go about. It's not the internet's fault, but sometimes it's so hyped up, gaslighting, narcissist, avoidant, and personality disorder, that some people or most people don't realize how dangerous these people are. Seriously, they
Well,
are dangerous, not
yeah,
just physically. And I'm not even talking about you under the ground, 6 feet under. I'm not even talking about that. Just
Mm,
emotionally dangerous. They don't
yes.
yes,
realize that. It's just easy for them. My boss is an asshole, fucking narcissistic. No, fucking narcissist. Not yet, sweetheart. Not
yeah,
yet. And
yeah,
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the only thing that's what I see, is that it's undermining, almost like, they don't see the realness of it. That they'll
They
break
lighten
you
it.
down to pieces. Yeah, yeah, all right. When they're
Some
done
people
Yeah.
are
with
just
you, they'll
scratching
break
the
you into
surface.
pieces.
Some people are just scratching the surface and not realizing in the in depth of how bad they really can be. If
The
you're only seeing the
manipulative
surface.
dynamics of
Yeah,
narcissists and
when you only scratch the surface and you already see the narcissistic tendencies and the manipulativeness of it, and that's just the surface of it. Imagine how it could be going in depth of it and being in a relationship with somebody like that. If that's just a boss, like I
With
can't even
actual
imagine.
one, yeah, with actual, because I'd say I have problem. I don't know. Like I would say I have narcissistic tendencies too, and I think we all are.
we
We
all
all are.
do.
Is we all are. So not
Yeah.
because one is being an asshole to you, you just say, we all have tendencies. So come on, I'm selfish too. I'm selfish most of the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, what's it's just, but once you actually be with someone that is he or she becomes part of your life, he integrates in your life. When you have children, especially, worse is if you're married, just and you see how, like, but so much suffering that it also forces you to kind of wake up, right? Like if you won't be in this position if you didn't experience these things with them. I'd say that for myself too.
Well, and
Yes.
there's a
No,
lot
I
of
agree.
people.
We say the same thing.
Well, and then those are those women who are waking up, opening their eyes, and really seeing what's going on, but they're still trapped, and it's dangerous to leave. And they're trying to figure out and find a way to leave. But then, of course, when they try, there are narcissists out there that will get even more aggressive, and 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 the situations become even more dangerous. And that's something where it gets scary. That's where it gets really scary for some of those women or men, because there's men out there who are with narcissist women.
That's true. God girls, God girl, I think is the title of the movie. But you're right. If the situation is highly domesticated, like the wife is 100% dependent, reliant, social, economically, that's heartbreaking. That because like, and then what's heartbreaking is that even if there's government support, which is I will say North America doesn't lack. Maybe for you, it's not perfect, but you don't lack support for domestic abuse victims, I'd say. Right? It's not the worst if you're going to compare it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But what goes wrong is that just women, so they go police and seek that support, government supports them, they taken that out, but they are in a trauma bond. They go back.
Mm-hmm.
They go back two times, three times, four times until it breaks. They go back, and the government doesn't understand that dynamic. They
The
just give up.
psychological factors
Yeah,
of that, they do not take that into consideration when they're dealing with somebody that is in those situations, coming from a person who's been there, done it more than once. You know, people don't understand that it literally, in most domestic situations, it takes at least 7 times. At least
yes,
7 times of a woman to the bare minimum, 7 times of a woman trying to leave. And I guarantee most of those times, or if not all of them, she came back also because of money manipulation and the financials. That's where they really like to hit you, is the financials, or they'll take away everything. You literally, I had to, in order to leave my a very abusive ex-husband, I literally had to lose everything. Like
yeah.
I didn't understand the amount of that I would have to lose. So I kept sticking in there because I didn't understand the amount that I would have to literally walk away from in order to be able to get away from him.
So I remember something, and I want to share this with you because what you're saying there it triggered something in me. It triggered some form of anger, and it's not because of you, but this is my emotion. But it almost triggered a form of anger in my chest, and I want to share this with you because we were talking about how like they would we started with the government not understanding the dynamics of how they abuse you even more, so that you go back and stay in the
Yes.
relationship, right? They
Yes.
abuse you even more. you
Yes.
know you know who I think is the worst of all, like, worst narcissistic people out there, or these people have probably special seat in hell. I'm so sorry to say that, but you
No,
know
no, you know.
how depression and mental health and suicide is one of one of the greatest things talked about globally for, I don't know, the last 7 8 years. It's like it's becoming big. People are becoming aware, right? We're becoming careful in terms of topics of mental health and suicide and all of that. You know who's the worst evil? Is that those people who use suicide and depression to manipulate other people, to get other people to do things they want. These are narcissistic, highly psychopathic people, manipulative. Oh, you see, I have emotion in myself here
Yeah,
because
no, but you're right because they do. They will
Yes.
use mental health issues. They will use no, they will use suicide. Oh, I'm going to kill
yeah,
myself
I'm
if you
gonna
don't
kill
come back.
myself. Yeah, if you don't do,
Behind the time. That's
uh,
like one of their biggest tactics is, oh, I'm going to kill myself. And I'm going to tell you a little glimpse of one of the tactics to the point of how dangerous these people are. And this is a little glimpse into my childhood. Um, to the point where this man literally um,
oh,
kidnapped another woman, held her captive for 3 days, raped her, and beat her, and then said it was the woman who left him. It was her fault that he did that. He had to do that because she left him. I want people to understand that that's what you deal with. That's what these women
yeah,
deal with. I'm not going to say any names, but this is something that happened in my own personal life. I've watched with my own personal eyes, experienced myself. I wasn't that woman, but it was somebody close enough to me for me to experience it myself.
yeah.
And yes, no, he said he had the audacity to say, it's your fault. That's why I'm here. You need to bail me out and it, because yeah, yeah, that.
Just the lack of accountability, just the lack of accountability, right? Or the lack of, I've met people who just refuse to make any decisions, adult decisions. And you thought in the beginning, oh, maybe he's just too weak. The personality is not that, is not that strong. Okay, all right, I'll do this for you. Only to realize that, some people are not doing that is because they don't want to be blamed for anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not making this decision, I will not be accountable for anything. I'm just here, like riding the waves.
Boy,
Freeloader.
sounds a little
Freeloader,
bit like
please do
my
it. I'm
ex.
depressed. I will not pay that utility bill. Why? Because I'm fucking depressed. I'm gonna kill myself. That,
Oh, that was, oh yes, I
but
experienced that so hardcore. Oh my gosh. And it was like to the point where I was like, you know what? Fine, fine. You
fine,
don't
that's
want to pay the
fine.
insurance? Fine.
Okay.
You don't get to, oh, I got to my tipping point where I was like, whatever. I don't care. Do what you want to do with yourself. But if you're not going to give me the half of the insurance like you said you were going to do, like we discussed, then you will not reap the benefits of that vehicle, which means you will not have that vehicle take you back and forth. The food that vehicle brings into this house, you will not eat. You will walk to the store, get your own food, and make it yourself. Oh, I went off. I had it. I had enough.
I had so the suicide thing was used against me, like, numerous
all
times,
the
not just
time.
by one person, all right? Not just by one person, just so
Mm-mm.
that, just so that, if
No,
the shoe
I hear you.
fits,
Not just one
please wear
person.
it,
It's
right?
there's a lot of them that like to use it.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but it's been used against me that one time this is how I got, and this is out of maybe pure luck. I don't know, because I didn't mean this, right? I was trapped in that thing for a long time until one day I say, you know what? If you don't let me break up with you, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'll kill, you keep saying you're gonna kill myself. You don't let me go. You know what? It's me. I'll do it.
I know. Yeah. When you hit that breaking point, when you hit that point, you're just
What?
like, I'm done. I cannot do this any further.
Yeah.
You know what that
Yeah,
is?
yeah, me.
That's when we hit our breaking point because of those people. And then we're considered crazy because they made us hit that breaking point. And then they use
Yes.
that against us. They try to use
Yeah.
that against us even more so because we finally broke.
Great. Yep. We finally, after all the shrinkage, after all the dimming, after all the little little things that they say, or the little, all the passive aggressive comments,
Yes.
all of those little demeaning, oh, but I'm just joking. But I don't understand even what you're talking about. Don't worry, I was just joking. The inside jokes that they give themselves, they are at your own expense. You
Mm.
know, you understand what I'm talking about. I can tell by
Yes.
your
the,
mm.
the joke is like, they're gonna say something, and what they're doing there is they're testing it, like,
Yes,
how burned is she gonna get burned. If she allows it, that means it's fine. I don't need to make any reaction. I can push some
I
more
can push
next
further.
time.
Exactly. It's like I'm
But
testing the waters.
if you make a little teeny tiny reaction, that is when, oh, I'm joking, come on, I'm joking, right?
Hmm.
Because he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to take himself off, right?
Hmm.
So, but I'll tell you, I do that too, Joe. Like, I am gonna admit that I do that too. Like,
But at least you're capable of admitting it. A lot of people aren't.
it, I, I do that too. But I would say, and I'm not protecting myself here. I, because let's say I give something not to insult, not to measure if I can go further next time. I am just, trying to see, which of my joke is gonna hit it, because I'm always into connection, which, joking is also my survival mechanism.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
tell
no,
you
there's
why.
two. Yeah.
Survival,
Yeah, no,
joking.
it's used in a different manner. It's used in a different
Yes,
manner. It's always used
it's
when it's a
connection.
manipulative tactic. It's the person that is is saying I'm just joking. You don't have to hide it, girl. The person that's saying that, I'm joking or whatever, the other person, if they're confused on even what the joke may be, then that's a manipulation tactic.
Yes, that's right. Sometimes it's just, but sometimes, I meet people that are probably more well-rounded. I don't know how to say it, because I'm only exposed to people that are fucked up in the head. So when I meet someone that's well-rounded, I kind of panic. Like, how do I handle this person? Like,
We're drawn
how do
to
I
each other, okay?
so how do I handle this person? You are so well-rounded. Why are you so emotionally mature and
How
intelligent
do
like
you
that?
become emotionally intelligent? That's what I wanted. Where did this maturity come from? See,
Oh
this
my
is
god,
this
I love it
nuts,
though. I
you
love
think.
it.
I
Okay,
just
I don't
understand
know what
that.
I'm talking about.
I understand that though because when somebody comes at me that is so emotionally balanced, I'm like, hold on,
Yeah.
how do I how do I talk to you?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so
Like,
stuck up in the head still. I'm still working on it here.
Yeah, so sometimes, especially when I moved, like when I moved from of course I'm from Asia, I'm from the Philippines, and I moved, right? So I'm so used to throwing jokes that are just you know will stop you in your tracks, right? And I almost want to believe, of course, this is not true and this is not real. I want to believe that someone is well rounded and healthy mentally, for some reason, raised well by their parents, is that when I say something ridiculous, like really dark, they would say this: "Are you serious?" Like, so if when they don't get it, I can almost certainly say they are normal people, like they're healthy mentally people, because they're surprised as to how could you say something so dark and yet you just don't give
We
a
get so
fuck.
many
Like,
likes wherever we go, Giselle. We get
yeah,
My
it's
but
siblings
like
and
when
I
you
have
little.
we have
It's
competition on who's the darkest child. And come to find out it was the oldest, which is me. We have competitions, okay? So eh, I don't think I think it's very rare to have somebody who is so emotionally balanced and well rounded that will look at a dark humor joke and go, "Are you okay?" Because I have friends. I have one friend that it's like we went to the zoo and every little thing his dad is not he is absent has been absent his entire life, and he'll walk up to a phone and goes, "Are you my dad?" And then and it's just like, and we
that's
all laugh
funny.
about it.
That's
We all laugh
hilarious, I'm
about it.
saying.
You want to know what one of my other daughters did, friends did on the bus? This is hilarious. He goes, "You want to see a picture of my dog?" My daughter's like, "Yeah, sure." She opens it up, and it's a picture of Ashley.
It's a picture of what?
It was a picture of the ashes that were cremated. That was her way of letting her know that she put
Oh.
her dog down. That's the kind of dark that we're from.
Yeah, that we are accumulated to the dark humor, and it's some people think that dark humor is an insensitive way of looking at things, but it's how, and like you said, Kusha, is that it's a coping mechanism for so many people
Mhm.
because it's the one kind of positive outlet that we can get. It's not positive to some people, but to us it is because it makes us laugh. And laughter is medicine for so many people out there.
So I have a question then now, right? If we are able to, our experiences, if we are able to, put them into phrases or sentences that are outrageously funny, insensitive, and just dry, and we almost don't care, we are the ones who experience it. I will never, never make a joke out of somebody else's experience. It's always mine.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
always mine.
And I
So
can do whatever the
if I'm
hell I want with my pain.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've had some terrible shit, but I've always made it, a joke out of something. Well, what can I do about it? It's because really, if you just move seats, if you just, stand up from that seat and move to another seat, it is funny.
Mhm.
Some things are funny, really, right?
I mean,
So if I'm able to put that, and it makes me genuinely happy. I have a question for you, Giselle. When you make joke out of it and it genuinely makes you happy, is it still coping mechanism? Is it still coping? Because coping is, you do something so you don't feel something that you don't like, right?
Mm,
Whether that coping thing is, if it genuinely makes you happy, like you're happy,
it's
I'm
not
done with this. This
coping.
is how I feel. This is how I feel. I don't know. I'm not indifferent. I don't feel indifferent. I still feel something about it, but you know what? I value it. I find,
Yeah.
is it still, and I don't know the answer. This is actually a question
No,
for three of us. Is
I
it
know. I
still
completely
coping?
agree. I'm that's a very good question because coping is something that band-aids.
Right. You're
When you
covering
when you
pain,
when
right?
you take a situation and you turn it into a joke and you literally feel that happiness and get that giddy and that giggle, it's more healing.
But here's the thing is at one point in my life, it was just a coping mechanism. It was just a band-aid over it. I have gotten to a point in my life where I can just laugh about it and actually feel genuine happiness with my dark humor because I'm no longer in survival mode, or I'm learning to get out of my survival mode and actually find that true happiness and that true funny thing with the jokes instead of actually living in a I just have to put a band-aid over it for now.
Yeah.
So I think that is where I it comes from is because I it was just a coping mechanism most of my life. And now I'm going towards a more healed part of myself where I can take the jokes and genuinely laugh because my mom and I, Sela and I, have such a close relationship that we joke with each other and have these dark jokes. Like her being a addict, there's jokes that I will say to her and
Yeah.
we'll just laugh about it, and we're genuinely laughing. There's no pain there. There's no more I'm just
We've
putting a
healed
band-aid
it.
over it. We've healed
Yeah.
it.
We addressed it, we healed it, and now we can make jokes about how I was a narcissistic, tendency mom, addict mom, and or this and that. And she'll post like there was like something she posted, and there was this one lady, and I was like, that was really me. And she was like, yeah, that was you. I was like,
Screaming,
damn, I'm sorry.
screaming and
Like,
raging
wow.
and like it was screaming and raging and just like losing their mind and that's what I dealt with at one point and
You mean
and
with your mother.
yes.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think, yeah, so were you acting that way? So because I've had the same experience, right? So I remember myself, I was in a narcissistic relationship, right? And um she affected me a lot in such a way that when things are going slow, I can almost know, oh, I took so long waiting in the back. I'm gonna get back in the car. I know he's upset. I know he's gonna be upset because this is just an example. Just him waiting in the car. I go to the back. It took a while. I go back. Oh God, he's gonna be upset. So what happens to me inside the back is because the tellers are moving slowly. I act out like a narcissist person, like how he would if it was him that's there. So I'm acting him out.
Hmm.
But I hope I am not a narcissist. I still pray to God I am not right now. But you see what I'm saying? That I acted him out. At least at that point, I didn't think that, if I was at that point, I didn't think that I'm narcissistic. But I acted like one. Not because I am, but because my safety depends on the other one. I know what's gonna happen. So you know what you're saying, like you're acting like one. It's not always you. It's because you're protecting also yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
You have a
that's
fair
very,
point.
very, very, very true. That's very, very, very because yeah, it was more of me being out of fear
yeah.
a lot of the times, and I was also um reaction to the abuse that I was experiencing too.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of it, and I'm just being as honest as I possibly can. Was that of course I had to have a reaction, and unfortunately, it spewed out onto her. And that's just to be as honest as I possibly could on it.
Um, have you how long? I have a question. Yeah, and it's personal. It's up to you if you want to answer. How at one point in your life, or how long for you to have that awareness that, all right, this is not random anymore. Like I am dealing with this dynamic, and my father is a certain way. What point do you actually, okay, this is not my fault. You know, you
Um,
finally realize this is not my fault.
you know, um, it was right around the time my uncle passed away, and I was kind of leading there, and then it was also my son telling me, asking me, um, my father had created a situation way back years ago, and I didn't find out until way years later. And it was my son was like, okay, well, mom, I'm going to ask you this question right now because I know now you don't have any reason to lie to me. You wouldn't lie to me. And it was flat out, did I leave him to go do heroin? Which I've never done heroin in my life, but that was what my father was spreading around. And I was like, no, no. What had happened was when I was on my way there, I had called and said I'm on my way. And my father then stated, oh, well, he's not here. My stepmom was a part of a band, and my son was like really big into into guitar and stuff. And, you know, being a 12-year-old boy, that's big. Like, you've got
Mm,
stardom there, you know?
yeah.
You've got the path of what he wants, you know, because he loves playing guitar, and 12 years old, you got that stardom in your eyes. You've got the path of what he wants. And for some and then I said, well, tell him too bad. We had those plans. Tonight's the only night I have a car because I had to borrow a car. I was in a really bad, like, no job, no income at all, you know, so I was borrowing my aunt's car. And I said, tell him too bad. We already had these plans. He's coming with me. I'm on my way. And it was, well, he's not even here. And I said, well, where is he? I'll go pick him up wherever he's at. Well, you can't. He's at a private place, at a private house. And I was like, well, call them and tell them to have him meet me outside because I'm not playing this, you know? And then he said, well, I can't because they're already playing.
Mm.
So I was like, okay. And I went back home. Well, not knowing that my son was literally sitting in his kitchen with his backpack and all of his stuff, looking out the kitchen window, waiting for me, and I never showed up. And my dad and my stepmom kept going, well, she's probably not going to show up. She's probably not going to show up, which is something that I don't care. At the height of my addiction is something it didn't matter. I showed up for my kids.
What did you do? If you don't mind, what did you do? You said you at the
Huh?
height of your addiction. What did you do?
I did meth. I did methamphetamines.
Okay, all right,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So like even at the height of my addiction, because I grew up hearing stories of my mom being left on the sidewalks for weeks waiting for her dad to show up. So that was
Mm-hmm.
something that, you know, that was something that hit really, really home. And my dad knew this. So
Mm-hmm.
it was something, you know, how narcissists are. And, you know, this is something that I would have never in a million years. But at that point, that's what told my son, oh, my mom's a drug addict, was because my dad made
Mm-hmm.
up that entire situation. And then
Okay.
we're talking 10 years later, I find out, you know, because my son changed overnight. And he went from sticking up for me to accusing me and not wanting anything to do with me. And I
Mm.
remember him and just said, I'm just going, I was so in such a state of confusion of what happened. And then I didn't find out until about 10 years later. And at that point, I completely went off on my dad. Told him what a biggest piece of shit that he was, and how dare him, and then and then we still had contact after that a little bit. And then when my uncle passed away, I said, well, let me know when the funeral services were. And my dad said, oh, well, he goes literally like this. Well, um, it's kind of just for family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, okay. Oh, nice to know. And then he called me up after the services and decided to tell me how my uncle's wife's niece was there,
Mm.
and how great it was to get to know her again because he hadn't seen her since she was such a little girl, and this and that. So it was like, you're just So you mean to tell me that this niece isn't family, but that niece is family? And that's when I decided to stop. That's when I said, okay, well, we're not family. And then also when
Okay.
I found out that he sold my grandmother's house out and without offering it to me first. When I told him for years and years and years that I loved my grandmother's house and it meant a lot to me. And he went ahead and just sold it and was like, "Oh, well, I can give you the guy's name that bought it off of me." Yeah, okay, jerk. But yeah, all of those kind of things.
It starts to kind of stack up, because you could have been growing up, just these things happen and you just remember them. You don't even know what you're gonna do with those memories. What are you gonna do with those memories? You just stuck there, and then at one point you're an adult. All of a sudden, oh, that's why. That's why he did that. That's why this was what he was trying. Just making sense is this like big start of healing. Or I'm not gonna say you're fully healed the moment you figure it out, but just having that understanding where
That
that's
epiphany.
why. Yeah, the epiphany. Oh fuck, I didn't have control. No matter what I did, that was why he was doing that. He said exactly that, so I felt that way, so I give it
Mhm.
this way.
Oh yeah, there was one point when I was pregnant with my youngest. Told me, he goes, I'm so shocked that you didn't leave Giselle on everybody else. I figured you would have just everybody else raising Giselle and that you wouldn't, you would have just left her off on everybody else and this and that. And then told me, oh, I'm shocked that you weren't pregnant at 13. At least you waited until you were 18 and da da da. Da. And I was like, every time I was like, it just to me it was like, well, it just goes to show how well you know me. Like,
Yeah.
I literally was
Like,
like, I didn't go into the
yeah,
military because I was like, not everybody else is going to raise my kid. I'm going to raise my kid. But he was like, well, I'm so shocked that you actually were the one that raised her and this and that. Yeah.
he was the same way, but he projected that onto me as a kid too. He would sit there going, "You're gonna." He sat there and claimed that I was gonna be just like my mom, a teenager and pregnant, or worse. I was gonna be 15 and pregnant, high school dropout,
Which was
all
my
these
mother,
things.
15 and pregnant,
Mm.
but she was married to my father at that time.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
claimed all these horrible
Oh,
things on me.
this is very shallow. This is very shallow, but I do know what you mean. Like even in school, like when you're in high school or something, and people are like, predicting this. Oh, look at you, this boy, this tiny girl, or this girl is. I bet you'll be pregnant. This blah blah blah, right? And those parents who said that, I don't want to say the children are, but probably have children older than my children. Is what I'm gonna say, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's just, just
yeah,
that's it's just
but
just the judgment that you get from people, like just because of how they think they know you, or it's
mhm,
just
Oh, he
eh,
refused to know me. He refused to get
yeah,
to know me. He all he did was just decide and assume who I was in his head. And because I like every time growing up, every time I went over to his house, we would stop at Carl's Jr. or whatever and have a conversation about how I need to not have anything to do with my mom or my mom's family because they're bad. And I'm like, well, what's so horrible? Tell me if you're not going to give me some examples, I'm not going to take you telling me that my mom's bad. Like
mm,
that's my mom. Give me an example of how she's so horrible and how she didn't show up or whatever, and he would never do that.
yeah.
So it didn't work with me. So he went on with my children, you know.
and with him trying to embed that into my brain and tell and put that manifestation over me on how I'm gonna be a horrible drug addict, teen mom. I very
Well,
much took
that's
that
such a
and was I basically told everybody, fuck you, I'm not gonna be that way. I graduated, I'm now 28 and just had my first kid. I'm married and like I'm not a drug addict. Now I did have a form of an addiction, but it was not what they said it was gonna be because I pretty much was like, fuck you, I'm not gonna be that. That's not me. That's what you want me to be because you want to be right about something. And guess what? you're not going to be. We're just going to show the world what kind of person you are because
Mm.
that's not okay. This is the type of people that shouldn't even, no, this is not, nope, that's not me. And I made sure that people showed up to prove, no, I walked that stage. I graduated, with
Mm.
moving to 4 different states or
Yes.
three
Mm-hmm.
different
Okay.
states, 4 different high schools. I was like, I did this, and I conquered it. And yeah, I was very much, let me shove it in your face. And I still do.
Yeah. You should be proud of that. I'm, I'm so rebellious. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel because if it was me, watch me. I'm gonna do everything you said. Like you
Don't
graduated, you
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 dare
finished.
tell me
I'll do
no.
all of that. But guess what? Why an addict? I'm still being an addict. You can just be, oh, you're an addict and you're gonna just watch me. Just watch me being an addict and still do the things you don't expect me to do.
And that's
Yeah,
Right?
exactly
exactly.
how I was. I never went and I never stole from anybody. I never took
That
money out of people's accounts. I never did any, even though I was an addict and I was an addict since the age of 12. I never did any of those things. And part of the reasons why was because screw him. There's no way I'm going to let him think that he's got one over me. So, in all honesty, his piece of shit behavior towards me actually saved me from becoming a bigger piece of shit. You know what I mean? In
yeah.
all honesty. But Kusha, this has been amazing, but we are at 11,
Oh yeah.
like an hour and 11 minutes here. Um, we didn't even ask you like if you have a book or if you
Uh,
like.
no, no, I'm fine. But I'm working on a project, right? But it's we don't have to talk about it right now, right? Just doesn't have to. We can
You
do
can
it.
come
We
back
can
on.
do this some other
Yeah,
time. We can talk about something else.
yes,
But
we would love to have you back for sure.
I'm working on a project, and it has something to do with technology and still psychology. It's still very psychological. But
Hmm.
I'm still working on it. I'm still developing on it, and maybe next time, a month or I hope a month maximum from now, we can connect again, and
Yeah,
talk again. And I'll be happy to talk to you about what I'm working on, but right now, no, it's not a book. It's not something. It's a totally different thing. It's
this has
technology.
been this has been an amazing conversation that we've had, and I can't wait to have you on again for sure. I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much for reaching out to us. It has been an honor to have you on as our guest.
Thank you. I totally enjoyed the both of you. Like you not asking anything. Are you serious? You're not reacting to any of the shit I said there. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
We
For
love how
those of
open
you,
you are.
yeah, for those of you that want to get in contact with us and you want to share your story, you do not have to have a name for your story to have an impact. You can contact us at 12 look in through THRU 34 the glass at gmail.com. You can do, we now have an Instagram. Woohoo. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok. Thank you for looking into the glass.